Hello everybody. I don't know about the sunlight behind me and how well you can see me. So I had a comment on like my last video said, can you show me, how you find fish on Sonar in the Mississippi? Well, the Mississippi's sort of a different character as far as finding fish on Sonar. When I anchor fish on the Mississippi, I'm usually behind wing dikes where the backflow's going out into the river. Well, I'm fixing to run into a wing dike right now. If y'all can see it over there. So I'm gonna go into the nose of that wing dike right in the swirl. It's at a granary. Well, that swirl's bringing grain up into that as they're loading grain at this barge depot. Well, I fished here and I've never caught fish, but it's always been a place that's interested me because there's always a lot happening here. So I'm gonna run you up in it, show you the sonar, what we see as we go up in it. And I hit these wing dikes the same way every time. I go right at the point and I go to 2D sonar, and you'll see it get real deep right at the end of it. That's called the scour hole. I'm right at the end of the wing dike right now, right in the scour hole. As you can see, I'm right there where it's washing around. And I checked this scour hole out for fish. And you can see she's just doing her thing. This is a swift part of the Mississippi right here. And I just kind of go up towards the point of that wing dike like this until the backwash hits the river. You can see it going from left to right here, and then it's hitting the river right there to the right. Now then, I'm gonna run up that backwash and there'll be a drop off. And them fish always hang out on that drop off at every wing dam. You got some Asian activity up here, Asian carp. And then you got your catfish right here. Now then, as far as what size that catfish is, I kind of feel like there's two of them there. There's three of them. You just don't know until you throw a hook down there in front of them. And see, you got these fish laying behind the drop off, these fish laying on top of the drop off. There's enough fish there to throw at. So I'm gonna park pretty far up on this hump where these fish are. And see, I've got the current flowing back behind me like this. I'm just gonna drift back again because I lost track of what I was doing. And what I wanna do is park where I can throw poles and I'll spot lock. I wanna throw poles on the drop off wherever it's at. I'll show you, we ain't far from it. See, there's just fish piled up right there on that drop off. So I want to throw a pole here, I want to throw a pole here, and throw a pole down here in this 40 foot of water. So I'm just going to pull up above that where I can throw poles in all three places. We're going back up over the drop off. And I kind of want to be a little bit of a distance away from that drop off because the sun's coming towards me. I want that shadow of this boat to be away from them fish. I'm just going to spot lock her right here and go to throwing poles. It's what I do at every wing dike. It's the first place I fish. Every one of these wing dikes is like their own little ecosystem. And they all hold fish in this Mississippi. Sometimes they're active on them, sometimes they're not. And it's really about the best place you can fish in the wintertime on this river. Because in the wintertime, them fish ain't wanting to fight the current. So you got the end of the wing dam right there. Okay, them fish on that sonar was on a drop off about that white bubble right there. So I can throw a pole about where that white bubble is and just throw out all the way back through there off that drop off. Now then, the question is whether or not they're active. We'll give them a good 15-20 minutes for sure. And I'm gonna, due to the depth, I'm gonna run 8 ounces of weight in there. There ain't a lot of current here. There's about the right amount to fish. So I judge the amount of current is how much my trolling motor struggles with it. So if it's sitting up there barely holding, that's about the right amount of current, about a mile, mile and a half to catch fish. You don't want completely dead current, but you want a little bit, and you don't want too much. If you got too much, then you got to drift with them, bumping and all the fun things you do for active fish, which I like to bump. I just don't do it a lot anymore because I come up here to relax and get away from work. Bumping can turn into a lot of work. Now then, I got some fresh skipjack I caught last night right at dark. We're gonna throw them out there. I'm gonna put the headpiece up here closer to the end of the wing dike. Hopefully we latch into a big one right here pretty quick. But there was some for sure catfish in there. And quite a little dab of them for the Mississippi. You know, the Mississippi's kind of funny because you don't see a lot of fish on sonar. You more or less hunt for the drop-offs in their homes. Lots of times your big catfish will come up there and they'll peck it like that. And then you wait about 3 or 4 minutes and then that thing will dump on you. And that was 33 foot to 40, the drop off. I got all these boats is changing the dynamic of my little hole here. We're gonna let this settle down, then we're gonna move around a little bit. So guys, I'm kind of exploring right now. And I'm gonna fish here somewhere. I don't know if y'all can see it because of the sun, but we're like in a old cutout in sort of an outside bend with a bunch of rocks. And it's kind of deeper than it normally is. And there's a bunch of trash on the bottom with fish in it. Sea fish, trash fish, fish. And I'm gonna spotlight and throw out here just because I ain't never fished here before and see what happens. It could be a good thing, could be pointless. But I'm gonna position the boat somewhere where we run through them rocks and fish, because at the end of the day, fish like cover, bait like cover, fish like cover. And there's not a lot of current in here. I feel like there's enough to fish. So I'm back in that hole where all that trash is right now. And I'm gonna spotlight where that went up to that 14 foot of water. Cause them fish are in a pile of crap right there. Now then I'm gonna cut bait and throw. And I'm just gonna line poles all the way across that. So what it is, it looks to me like on Sonar, there's a rock pile and then there's a ditch comes off to the left right here. Well, the river's got a hump of rocks and trash right there piled up. So you got flathead that love them rocks, blue cat love them rocks, everything loves them rocks. Now the boat's gonna be kind of wild here, but that's okay too. There seems to be quite a lot of fish activity here on top of the water. Like I said, I've never fished here. I'm pretty stoked about it. Oh crap. This top does not make me happy. So the two right-hand poles is on the current side of it, and the left-hand pole's out in the calm side of it. That left-hand pole is acting suspiciously like a gar. Regardless of what it is, it ain't very big. Dog got left-hand poles going down. That was a bigger fish than what was on it a while ago. I think he's pulling on it about as hard as he can. I think it's a gar. Sassycat. El Channel Cat or guys, we're gonna move. We've been here 30 minutes and ain't had nothing but that little channel cat bite and a couple little pecks. It's time to get serious and see if we can't find some fish. And this September heat wave might have shut these fish back off. That's the reason why I've been hitting the Mississippi a little bit more here lately, is because the water temperature is cooler than Ohio. And this Mississippi, when I caught them fish the other day, was at 72. It's at 77 now. That could have pushed them fish into not, you know, back into their summer thing, biting after dark. So we're gonna give them about 10 more minutes, and then we're gonna go out in the river and bump, because if they ain't behind the wing dikes, they gotta be somewhere. So guys, when I bump in the Mississippi, I find a fairly straight trashy area. It's got a lot of stuff in it. I want my backwards drift, and I'm using 3 ounces of weight. So I'm gonna slow my backwards drift down just a little bit, or speed it up, in other words. So my backwards drift's at 2 mile an hour, and we're probably in an area with 4 mile an hour current. And there's my typical bumping setup: a cannonball sinker, a 3-way swivel, a swivel, and a 10-aught circle hook. And I just drop that down until it hits the bottom. And then I walk it backwards. And like I said, the more trashy it is, the better off you are. And I got my trolling motor set with the north button pushed. I'm gonna bump its speed up just a hair, because I'm overrunning my bait right now. You want that bait to be trailing out behind you. I don't know what's going on, really. So in a situation like that, I just reel her in, regroup. It'll take you just a little bit to get everything lined out. So back behind us is some cover, and I wanted to get everything lined up before I got to that cover. Cover meaning rocks and just underwater current breaks. And when all else fails, you can catch fish on the Mississippi and the Missouri River doing this. Anywhere there's current. And I use braid and a whisker seeker bumping pole, because you want to be able to feel what's going on down there. And you know when you got everything right, when you can hold that down like that and you can feel that thing scooting along the bottom, every once in a while pick it up and get it all lined back out. That's what you want. We're gonna go find some more structure, because we ain't got a bite yet. This is a little bit of a better place anyway, because there's a little less current here, and the fish pile up in between here and that bend that you all can see down there. Same thing. I sort of just let my sinker and my drift dictate what I do, as far as pointing the trolling motor and stuff like that. I'm gonna point her a hair to the right. So guys, about 15 years ago or so, I caught my first catfish bumping in this in this corner. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just bouncing down through here drifting. And all of a sudden my pole jerked out of my hand and I was like, golly. Might have not have been 15 years ago, might have been about 10. But I've always wanted to sort of anchor out here and fish, but that's a port authority over there on the other side of the bank, so there's always a lot of traffic going on here. Starting to see a couple fish on Sonar. And that's all she takes, boys. When they slam it, they about take it out of your hand. So he's going upstream. I'm gonna bump my trolling motor up. This is a pretty big fish. Pretty doggone big fish. When you go to catching up with them like that, then you slow your trolling motor back down. Make sure everything's recording. Woo, adrenaline. Finally. When all else fails, guys, bump. Very rarely you have a fish pull a drag when you're drift fishing, just like that one did. And he was going upstream faster than a lot. You know, it's a good one. I don't think he's as big as I originally thought, but I think it's a good one. A good bumping fish. And he ain't as big as I originally thought. I thought he was a flat hoss whenever he first took off. Still a 25, 30-pound fish. So I know what we're gonna be doing the rest of the day right here. Male fish. He'll go 20, 25. Like I said, he ain't as big as I originally thought, but it's still a good fish compared to what we had been catching. And always have that dip net where you can get to it when you're bumping. Mississippi River, guys. Let's go after another. I'm gonna go closer down the edge of them barges this round. Like I said, if I was gonna fish a tournament in the Mississippi in the summertime, that's what I would do the whole 8 hours. I'm seeing a few more fish on Sonar down through here. So hopefully I can bump right down the edge of these barges and maybe get another one real quick. It's a little bit more trashy down through there too. So the difference between bumping and drift, get this thing, whatever they're doing up there on the bank over. So the difference between drifting, any kind of drifting you do, whether it be pulling boards, bumping, or just plain old drifting. So them fish is sitting down there, they're not doing nothing. They're not actively feeding. So if something comes in front of them, it's like anything else, you know, they're gonna eat it regardless because it's just the nature of an animal. But if you're anchor fishing, unless you drop that bait right in front of them, what you can do, um, you're not going to catch them on these bad days. Like I said, it, if you get that bait in front of them when you're throwing a sinker, you'll get them. It's just kind of hard to do. And there's areas in this river right now where the fish are active. There always is. But the thing about it is they might be active today and you catch them there today and then tomorrow you go back and they ain't there. They're there, but you ain't catching them. But you catch them at a different place. I just don't do this a lot. I love doing it because I work a lot. And, time I get bait and everything and mess with it, I go without sleep. And I just sort of like to sit back and watch poles. Now when I come up through here, I quit seeing fish on Sonar about the end of that barge right there. And then from the end of this barge right here, back down to that other barge, I seen a stretch of fish. But I like to get started way up above the fish. That way I got my drift established before I get into the fish. I think I had another bite there. I'm not 100%. I was about asleep. Lots of times they'll follow it on down and bite it again. I don't see no trash on the bottom that I hit, but I also don't see the fish. Now he didn't slam it like that other, but it's not near big a fish. Maybe I need to keep right on going down this bank. Ain't a bad beluga. I was trying to avoid using the dip net on him, but I might be losing the hook. I don't know, you'll go 10, 12 pounds. It's a female fish. I think I'm just gonna keep right on drifting down through there. As soon as I get this thing up where I can show the camera. About 10, 12. Pretty good fish. But we ain't gonna give them that much long anyway. Cause it's getting hot. I should have untangled this before I put the bait on there, but I didn't know it was that tangled up. Sometimes if you can give them a split second when they bite, you get a better hook set. I felt that fish bite, and then I gave it a split second. So what I'm doing now when I ain't bouncing, that sinker's just dragging along the bottom. And it's making racket down there. And with the scent of that lure or that bait, it helps you get a bite. And I try to do that on a sandy bottom whenever I can. That's when you know your speed's right, the weight of your sinker's right, and everything's right whenever you can just let that sinker drag along the bottom like that. Boys, it's getting hot. I know I hear a boat, but I do not see it. Well, guys, I'm gonna call it. So if you do these things, every time you go to the Mississippi, you will show fish. I usually, if I'm real serious and wanting to catch fish, I'll anchor of a morning and an evening, and then throughout the midday I'll bump. But we caught one pretty good one and a couple others, and I showed y'all what I do whenever I'm looking for fish on Sonar. But until the next time, I'll see y'all later.